Today, my guest is Marian Bacol-Uba. She is a transformation coach, holistic health and wellness expert, and a certified pranayama and meditation teacher. She empowers women to transform trauma into triumphs, heal themselves from within, and create a thriving life in, here it comes, mind, body, and soul with clarity and confidence. Years ago, although Marian had a great marketing career, she still felt unfulfilled, unhappy, anxious, and dealt with her PTSD and depression through alcohol and substance abuse. It wasn't until an overdose and an out-of-body, near-death experience that she finally woke up. She was given a second chance at life and began her spiritual journey. So stay tuned, and we will find out all about this beautiful transformation coach, Marian Bacol-Uba.
Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. Today, as I said in the intro, my guest is Marian Bacol-Uba. Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Emmett. And you said my name correctly.
That's because I do my homework.
Which is, not many people do, but it's okay because I've heard my name said so many different times. I'm like, all right.
At first, I thought it was Marian. And I was like, no, that would be an O. And then let's start. Where is your family lineage from?
I am Filipina. So my family's from the Philippines, and we have Filipino, Chinese, and Spanish background.
I've been to Davao City.
Okay.
Long time ago. Everyone looked at me like I was a giant.
Well, everyone in the Philippines is pretty short.
Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing. This is what I know about the Philippines. They can hoop.
They can. They got hops.
They got mad hops. They might only be like 4'9", but they're going to take you to the hole big time. Anyway.
And they love to sing, dance, and eat.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. But we're here to talk about you in the now. You have did a pivot, which is what a lot of people on the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast do. Most of the people that I interview, they were doing the thing that their family told them to do, and they decided to pivot, and they pivoted to their heart's desire. And you went through some changes in your life. Can we go back and start at the beginning so that we can move forward and show that how you have this wonderful ability to help people?
Sure. So my pivot actually didn't really come from a choice of mine. I felt that, the universe, God, whatever it is that you call that source, your soul, really, has been nudging me for years, and I didn't listen, and so it gave me a huge wake up call. Because I'm stubborn like that.
Yeah, that'll happen.
But to take it back, I always felt like I lived a double life. And you were talking about how, people used to do what their family wanted. So I grew up in a very traditional Filipino Catholic childhood and family. And so I sort of did the check the boxes off what you needed to do.
Right.
I was a really good student. I went to a great college. I went to corporate. I sort of checked all that off. And in my 20s, I actually, on the outside, from the outside, people thought that I had it all because by 27, I was a marketing director of the largest Filipino American-owned company in the U.S.
Wow.
It was the largest retailer and grocery store. And we had several locations all over the U.S. I traveled. I was also a food writer. And I did a lot of TV work for food. Like I was big in the food scene in LA. Did TV interviews, had a YouTube channel. And so people were like, wow, she's doing all these amazing things. And in terms of my career, things were going really well. But what I felt on the outside and the inside didn't match up, because I was severely unhappy. Behind closed doors, I suffered from depression, anxiety. I had PTSD from childhood trauma that I never addressed, because coming from an Asian background, we're told not to talk about things. You sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
Those things are, the sense of respect is so high. It's at the cost of the individual. So it's family first. So the individual gets kind of lost. And you don't want to shame the family. So no one's supposed to know that anything's wrong. We're a perfect family. Don't talk about those things. And so I suppressed it. I was told, don't be ungrateful. You have a good job. You make good money. That's in the past. Don't worry about that. So I turned to work, binge drinking and drugs, every chance I could get to numb a lot of the memories, the flashbacks, the pain. I didn't want to deal with it. I just kept pushing it down, and I just did all that in excess. I worked my ass off. I partied my ass off. I forgot everything. And then it was just this cycle, I was in a cycle until I was 28. This was in 2014. And I overdosed, and I had an out-of-body near-death experience that woke me up.
What did you overdose on?
I was on a cocktail of 7-8 different things. I don't even. Yeah.
You're not a big person either. How could you handle all that?
That wasn't a point in my life where I just felt so torn. I felt like my double life was catching up to me. Everyone thought I was so happy, and yet I felt like I was living a lie. Because I still saw the person who had abused me when I was a child, and I had to pretend everything was okay. Yeah. And it caught up with me, and it triggered me every time I saw that person, so I did more things to numb everything, because I didn't want to be ungrateful. I have a good job. I have a good career, all these things that you tell yourself, right? You don't want to stir the pot, and I didn't want to ruin or shame the family and bring something like that up, because it was it was a huge deal, and I didn't want anyone else to suffer.
Yeah, and particularly in Asian cultures, honor is a huge deal. And nobody wants to break that honor code. I do understand that. Actually, it seems to be most prevalent in the people of color movement that I see, because even in my own family, there's an honor stake that you just don't cross. There's and there's a system between children, teenagers, and adults that, particularly because my parents from the old school. So I fully understand that. So when you came out of that scenario, when you found yourself conscious in this life still, what was your moment that says, I'm going to do me?
Well, right after that happened, I knew that I had to do something different, or else I would go back into that comfort zone and go back into the old habits. So I bought a one-way ticket, and I moved from LA to Miami. So
I mean, LA and Miami are different cultures, but they're still very much party scenes.
Yes, but I just had to get as far, and I went from West Coast to East Coast. I knew I just had to go far.
Okay. You got away from what you knew.
Yes.
Okay. So you got to Miami, and what was your modality then? You're like, okay, I'm in a new place, new start. Where do I go from here? So what was your thoughts?
Well, I was completely humbled, scared. I went with really barely any money, no plan, no job, barely knew anyone. And I went from this amazing gig and career to not really knowing anything here. So I ended up waiting tables and bartending again, as well as getting like part-time marketing stuff, because I had pride also. I needed to, I wanted to show everyone that I didn't need them.
Right.
But at the same time, I knew that everything in my life I was trying to do for other people. And I knew that I was trying to fill the void with external sources, like whether it be relationships, drinking, whatever it was, work. And I decided to go inward. I started devouring different podcasts, books with other people who've gone through similar things like trauma, and other entrepreneurs and other people who've gone through things and gotten past it. Spiritual books. I started meditating. Meditating for me has been life-changing. And
let's pause right there. I want to ask you this question. Because, when you hear about meditation, you're like, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to get down on this. And the first thing that happens is your mind won't shut off, and you were coming from a situation that was very intense, and you had all this stuff that might have been bubbling up. So what was that process that you went through from, did you meditate at all prior? Let me ask you that first.
So, no, I was one of those people who thought meditation wasn't for me.
Right.
Because at work, I was always high achiever, aggressive. I was like, I had heard before that meditation was great and all these high performers did it. So I was in the mindset of, I had a lot of pride and I was like, I'm going to do this well. I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to get this. I would sit down and the thoughts just went like 100 times. Like the anxiety, it was I could not shut it off. And I'm like, you know what? This is not for me. It doesn't work. It's not for me. It's not for everyone. And I kind of just wash my hands from it. And through the experience of me coming here and really just humbling myself and starting really from the bottom, I tell people I crawled before I could stand up and walk. So
that was an awesome statement. And the reason I say that is because I went on a similar thing. Mine was just a conscious decision to change. That's how the Billionaire Lifestyle was born, like about 2007. That was the inkling of it. And I started with trying to meditate. And when I finally got it, meditating, I went from, oh, okay, I forgot to turn the iron off. Oh, did I pay the light bill? To that's 1 minute to 3 minutes in, and I would set my timer for 8 to 10 minutes, and then there'd be nothing. Next thing you know, it's the alarm's going off. And I was like, whoa, where was I? So, I understand there's a journey for anybody who's thinking about meditating. You have to build up to it. It's a journey. It's not a race where you just get there. So you got the meditation, you start coming out, you start spreading your wings, and where did you go from there? Did you think about your own sustainability and what you could do, what you could offer to somebody, how you could be of service? Yes.
And it was through this transformation, I actually found the courage to come out publicly with my story. I confronted my abuser. I went public with it. I'm writing a book about it, actually. And through there, I just started sharing very openly and honestly on my platforms. And that's how I started coaching, and I started speaking about it, just because I was sharing my experience. And I realized when I shared it, I still continued to get so many messages from people, especially women of color, who felt that I was their voice. They were like, your story felt just like mine, but I don't have the courage to say anything. And it's just so common, but no one talks about it, especially women of color and especially Asian Americans,
So with that, you went through these experiences, you overcame all this adversity, and how did you say, I have this wherewithal, I've got some experience from before, I need to transform this into a business that can sustain me and help other people? Mm-hmm. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I came from a marketing background, so I had been marketing other clients, other businesses. And with me, I realized that I had to approach it that way. I think a lot of people in the healing modalities want to heal and give so much, but don't know how to sustain a business. Whereas I came from the corporate and the business side, and, through my personal experience, got into the healing modality. So I sort of merged that together.
Oh, go. Awesome.
Yeah, that's sort of the difference, I think, because I came from that world and, through my own transformation, got into the healing modality.
Those are two different items. So what was your challenges that you ran across in bringing all this together?
The messaging, I think, the messaging.
It's there, but you just can't put it into a box. So did it take you some time to say, this is what it is?
Yes, because as a healer as well, I want to help so many people. But you can't, if you're trying to please everyone, you're pleasing no one, and you're not doing a service. So I really narrowed it down to helping women who've gone through trauma. It's not that I'll only work with them. I work with other people who want to work with me, and it's a good fit and it's in alignment with what I do. But the ones who I know that I put a lot of my focus on are basically women who are just like me 4 or 5 years ago.
No.
Because I've been there. I know how that is. And a lot of my clients are women who are actually successful in the workforce, have their own business, have all that, but they haven't dealt with a lot of things internally, because we live in a world where women in the workforce had to be more masculine, so they suppress their feminine.
Yeah, that's, what, one of my other earlier guests said that exact same thing, that women have forgotten how to be women because they're trying to emulate. And here's one of the things that I have picked up because I'm a man of color, is that there are so many powerful women who are coming out doing great works like you are doing, but there are some men who could very well use the knowledge and the attributes that you guys have, but you only see saying this is for women. You don't see anything for men who have gone through some of the things that, you are describing as well, because they're really not going to come out.
Yeah.
And I understand exactly what you say when you talk about women, their yin and yang are out of balance because they're leaning toward the masculine. So when you are dealing with customers, who's your perfect customer and how do you help them?
So my ideal client are women, high-achieving women who need to transform their trauma into triumph and find and empower them to heal from within in mind, body, and soul. So it's a healing in all aspects, because they already have this part set. They have their money, their career, all that, and they've forgotten to take care of themselves. And I know self-care and self-love is thrown around, but it's really something that they lose that feminine energy. They're so masculine in every other aspect that they lose touch with the things that make them feminine, like the nurturing part, the loving, the compassion, and they lose that for themselves. And so they try other things like I did to cope. So they may be, a high-performing executive and depressed and drinking their sorrows away and then going back to the work, and that's exactly what happened to me.
So how has all this made you better at, being a coach and a speaker and an entrepreneur, all these things that you've been through, some hard times, and you've carried some weight with you. But sometimes in our journey on this planet, we have to go through that so that we can hit our goal and express it for other people. So how has all that made you better than you would have been if you would have just, had that American life that everything was roses?
I feel because I've been there, I know my way around. I know my way through there. And I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, Date with Destiny, over 2 years ago. And one of the things that really stuck with me that he said was, you can't take someone to a place you've never been. And because I've been to the deepest, darkest despair, trauma, all that, and I've gotten my way out, I sort of have this roadmap, and I can go back and help these women who are still there, not just women, but people who are still there, and help lead them and guide them into this place.
So
authentically.
Do you see a lot of people who are just looking for love literally in all the wrong places?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I have this discussion with my wife. She loves romance. She is such a romantic person. And my wife is several years younger than me, and I pray that she doesn't lose that magic, as time progresses. Versus me, I've been through a few things, and you know how it is. You've been through some things, and you just look at it and say, how can I keep it stable? How can I make it better? And so I'm digressing, but that's just me. What are you doing in the future? Are you going to be doing workshops and seminars? And I know you got a book on the way, your website, YouTube. I love your YouTube. I love your graphics, by the way. They're awesome.
Thank you.
So what do you have?
All of that, and I actually already have Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just dealing with some audio things on this side.
Sorry, there's a lag in when I hear you. So speaking more, I'm going to do, my goal is to do a TED Talk, a TEDx talk. So I'm actually sending an application for some TEDx talks because I believe I have an idea that needs to spread. And so my book comes out in October, and I already have an idea for my second book. And just really taking this and growing, reaching more people, reaching more women. Because I truly believe that once women start healing themselves, they create space for other people, especially other women and men in their lives, to also heal. You know?
Yeah, that's what I really love about the feminine, because we're moving into this age of Aquarius that I'm just starting to understand. And I started seeing it when I was like in the very late 80s, early 90s, where women were owning businesses and they were coming together and they were doing more. As a matter of fact, you only hear about this topic, which is women's conference. You never hear about a men's conference, whatever shape or size they're in, but women are coming together and they're getting things done, which is actually a cool thing because in the last couple hundred years, men have just done nothing but torn everything up, which is that energy that they have. So how can people reach you?
So they can reach me via my website, marianbacol-uba.com, and I'm really active on Instagram.
You have to spell that. You know that, right?
That's MarianBacol-Uba. And I'm also on Instagram. It's Bacol-Uba. So Bacol-Uba. And through there, you can have my links to my YouTube channel, my podcast. I post a lot on Instagram. As you can see, I've been doing more videos and IG lives that people have actually really been loving. And just really growing it and getting the message out because I want to empower others to heal themselves and really live the life that they're supposed to.
So I have another question. And so, you don't just get anywhere by yourself. You always have to have help. So if you've worked with some coaches and some mentors, how have they really helped you?
That was really that was a turning point for me because I had been reading and doing all these things, but what really set me on this path, I think exponentially, was when I sought teachers and coaches and mentors, because there are people who had been where I had been, but are a few steps ahead. I'm able to follow. And now I have this framework, and I've also been able to add my own experience to it. So I just launched a course called Thriver Life. I know a lot of things that I've created, and sort of followed and doing that with my students. So we're here. An episode recently called that I said, self-made is bullshit. We are all connected because of that same thing. I really, truly feel that. There's no person that can just do it on their own. We're here to help each other out.
That's very true. That's very, very, very true. All right. So I'm going to ask you this question now. Mm-hmm. Close your eyes. Now, you're going to go back. You're going to be sitting on that couch that's right behind you. And you're going to be chilling, enjoying the floor, the sun coming through the window, just having a relaxed day. And then you hear a knock at the door, and you go to the door, and there's a 17-year-old you waiting at the door. And she says, I'm about to embark upon the journey of the rest of my life, but I know you're my angel and you have something for me. What is that?
A fire. I call this my fire fuel. It's always been with me, that burning, it's that soul deep type of fire that has really saved me in many aspects, pushed me, has been my fuel to do everything that I've been able to do.
So keep that fire alive. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah. That's so very awesome. What's your next project? What's your next step, that goal, that thing that's burning in your heart right now for 2018, 19, 20, and 21?
2018, my book is coming out at the end of this year. By 2019, I'm doing that TEDx talk. And by 2020, hopefully my second book, because it's actually going to be called Fire Fuel.
All right, I'm going to keep you to that because I have this recorded. So don't make me come down to Miami.
Miami's not a bad place to be at, so Miami's great.
No, I have too much fun in Miami. I have way too much. It's a great place for me to go ground. Really, like I goes right to you can ground anywhere because it's so connected to everything on earth because it's so much water and earth that are contained together. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you need some help or if you just need some inspiration, this beautiful young lady is here for you to help. Last question. Where are your clients located? Do you do remote help or is it retreats or how can you help people?
Oh, all over. A lot of my clients are virtual online. We have online classes and Zoom 101 private coaching.
Awesome. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how we end the show. I'm going to change it up a bit. You know, I tell you to be with yourself. And when you get out the shower, take some time to be with yourself in the mirror, in the suit that God gave you, because you are a 1 in a billion. So I always get this question when I'm out, like, I'm not a billionaire. I don't have $1 billion, which is the wrong mindset. So if you're in the audience, I want you to do this. Raise up either your left or the right hand, but leave only one of them up. So the tip of your tallest finger, which is the middle finger, down to where your wrist meets your hand. We're going to talk just about the hand and those fingers. That is yours, correct? Yes, it is, Emmett. So since that is yours, it is made up of these little energy centers called cells. And in between that finger and just where your wrist starts, there is at least 1 billion of those. If you get into your inner solar system, which is like your digestive system, there is at least 1 trillion foreign bodies that help to aid you. You are a miracle. So you're already a billionaire. Stop chasing resources. Look for what you already have. Be grateful. However small it is, be grateful for what you have, then you will get more of the good stuff. And remember, when you see someone that has those small galaxies on the either side of their nose, just like you, treat them with honor, love, and respect as you want to be treated. Till next time, I love you all and peace.